Piper Lynn, my daughter, was born February 18th, 2013, 6 pounds, 6 ounces in Shakopee, Minnesota at St. Francis. We actually got a call from our regular pediatrician on a Tuesday. I was in my bedroom and I remember her saying Piper was tested positive for CF. We sent her blood work down to genetics at Children's in Minneapolis, and she has cystic fibrosis, and I'm sure of it, and I'm sorry. And she said, don't Google it, which is like the worst sorry thing she could have said.
I remember, as we were prepping for that Thursday visit, it was kind of a roller coaster of emotions leading up to that, like crying and then saying, okay, we can do this, what the heck do we have to do, and just trying to even understand it. But then when we drove to Children's that Thursday, Anna and I, just neither one of us, we got in the parking garage, we parked, and then we just sat, and neither one of us made an attempt to even open our doors. And I just remember that moment specifically because I think, up to that point it was still, oh, maybe, and we just kind of, both of us really just broke down and just prayed and just said, God, please, if there's any way that you can just allow it to be just a carrier and for this to be nothing, we just ask that you would do that. But if our daughter has cystic fibrosis, Lord, then our prayer can only be that you would just give us the grace that we need to try and survive this.
Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease that affects many things in the body. And what it really boils down to is salt, the inability of salt to transfer from cell to cell correctly. So it causes a whole bunch of issues. One of them being the most obvious and common and most heard of is respiratory. So thick, sticky mucus is all over her body and her lungs and pancreas. So she has pancreatic insufficiency and she needs enzymes because hers don't secrete out of her pancreas. It's blocked by the mucus. Currently, I believe there's about 30,000 people in the United States who have cystic fibrosis. About 1 in 20 people are carriers for CF. And currently the life expectancy for someone with cystic fibrosis is 41 years of age. However, the average age of death is in the mid-20s.
My personal hopes for cystic fibrosis is that they find a cure, and they're pumping pretty much all of the money that they raise through the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation into finding a cure. And so that's why we try very hard to not only support CFF, but also to encourage our family and friends to do that as well, because with a lot of nonprofit organizations, there's some overhead that goes into staffing and trying to get the message out and everything like that. But with Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, essentially, 90% of their profits, or not profits, but 90% of the money that's given goes right into the research for finding a cure.
As a mom, you have hopes for your child always. And one of the first things that I realized about CF is that women, it makes them very hard to have children. And so I diligently pray for Piper in that area. And I started months ago when she was diagnosed that she will be able to have babies and, of course, get married and go to college and do whatever, and maybe not go to college. I don't know, whatever her dreams are, that she'll be able to live them out and won't be in a hospital bed.
My hopes really, I want her to have a normal life. I want her to be able to follow whatever dreams any normal person would want to follow as well. But I think, as a father and certainly as a shepherd, I think more eternally, right? So I don't want to see Piper get angry at God because of her cystic fibrosis, that as she grows up and starts to ask some of these questions herself, that instead of her becoming angry at God because he created her this way. Instead, that she would press into him and be able to look at her cystic fibrosis the way that her mom and I do. And I think one helpful thing is that her brother, every night, I mean, his prayer is always, Lord, heal her CF. And he's even gone as far as saying, and if you don't heal her CF, Lord, just help her feel better, help her, not cough, help, just keep her healthy. Huge John Piper fan, and he just said, don't waste your life, right? And Piper's life includes cystic fibrosis right now. Will they have a cure someday? Maybe, hopefully. But if they don't, I just hope that she doesn't use that, or that the enemy doesn't use that as a way to convince her that there is no God, or that she needs to be angry if there is a God. Because to be honest, her life and her cystic fibrosis are touching people for God in ways that, I'm 34 years old, and she has touched more lives by her CF than I have in 34 years of life. And I think that will continue to exponentially grow if she is able to channel that focus in a good way. And so my hope is that she will be able to embrace her cystic fibrosis and not be angry about it, but instead say, God, how can I use this to glorify you?